production.
And one of the most important, if not the most important role, is charity, and we all have the ability to be charitable, right? So let's see what kind of charity Christ requires. Go ahead with that, John 15 and 12.
This is the book of John, chapter 15, verse 12. This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you.
So this isn't the type of love that this society puts out. It's not the type of love that these other religions put out, right? This isn't, the romance novels or the hearts and Hallmark cards. This isn't that stomach butterfly you get when you think you're in love. No, this is a different kind of love. This is a greater love. Go ahead and read.
Greater love hath no man than this, that a man may lay down his life for his friends.
there is no greater love than this, than a man laying down his life for his brothers and sisters, right? And this isn't just talking about, taking a bullet or stepping out in front of a vehicle, but also sacrificing yourself, right? Being selfless, sacrificing your time, your energy, your ego, and your pride, being completely selfless. Are you willing, are you at a place, have you built yourself up to be in a place where you're willing to be uncomfortable to help your brother and sister, help them get back on their feet? Read.
Ye are my friends, if you do whatsoever I command you.
So to be Christ's friend, we have to love one another, right? And that love looks completely selfless. It is being able to sacrifice yourself, your wants, and your needs, to put those things aside and do what you need to do to benefit your brothers and sisters. Do what you need to do to fulfill the Most High's wants and needs. Let's go to Sirach 33 and 17. That's a love that we have to work ourselves up to with one another. We have to build ourselves up to that greater love. It takes time. It takes patience. It takes a whole lot of things, and we're gonna get into them. We're gonna see them, right? Go ahead when you have that.
That's the book of Ecclesiastes, Sirach, chapter 33, verse 17. Consider that I labored not for myself only, but for all them that seek learning.
Consider that I labored not for myself only, but for all them that seek learning. So what do you profit by building yourself up in knowledge, by watching these classes, by reading your Bible, by getting the understanding of this truth, if you keep it to yourself? If you don't have brothers and sisters that you can count on, that you can trust, that you can depend on, what do you have to profit? You can't labor for yourself only, but you have to labor for those that seek learning. You have to labor for those that want the kingdom just like you. That's the spirit of charity. That you care for others more than yourself. That you're willing to make sacrifices. That you're willing and capable and able to be patient, to be long-suffering. That you have a will to and a desire to understand your brothers and sisters. That you're able to be gracious. They are able to be a humble servant, that you're able to serve your brothers and sisters. That's what charity is, right? Let's get charity in the Zondervan Bible, right? Or dictionary. It says charity in the Bible never means giving to the poor, but always a God-inspired love, which includes respect for and concern for the welfare of the loved one. So it's different than this Oxford Dictionary or this societal understanding. It's not about giving to the poor on a monetary basis, but it's about being respect and having respect for one another, and being concerned with the welfare of one another, right? That's the greatest love, to being able to sacrifice yourself for your brothers and sisters. Grab for me 1 Colossians 13 and 1. That's the love that we need to achieve in order to build up this kingdom and get out of this captivity. We can't do it alone. We've got to do it together. We have to learn how to be servants to our brothers and sisters. We have to learn how to put our brothers and sisters, ahead of our wants, ahead of our needs. You have to sacrifice. You have to labor. It takes work. Go ahead when you have that.
You sure you said Colossians?
I'm sorry. 1 Corinthians.
Kind of.
This is the way of love. Go ahead when you got it.
Though I speak, I'm sorry, Slovakia. This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 13, verse 1. Though I speak with the tongue of men and of angels, and had not charity, I am become as a surrounding brass, or think of simable.
It says, right. I become a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. Read.
Although I have the gift of prophecy and the understanding of mysteries and all knowledge. Although I have faith. Salakia. Give me a second.
Although I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, read.
I lost my spot. Give me a second.
13 and 2.
All right, I'm gonna start from the top.
You got it?
Although I have the gift of prophecy and understanding all mysteries, and the knowledge of although I have all faith, so that I could remove mountains and have not charity, I am nothing.
So, what it's saying is, you can have all these things, right? Gift of prophecy, understand all mysteries, have all knowledge, have all the faith to the point where you can remove mountains. If you don't have charity, you don't have anything. You aren't anything. You're just making noise. This is the thing that is most important, charity. Read verse 4.
Charity, suffering long and kind. Suffering long is kind. Charity, even not. Charity
Vaunteth?
Yeah, charity vaunteth not itself. It is not puffed up.
Charity suffereth long. So you have to be long suffering with your brothers and sisters. You have to be willing to endure your brothers and your sisters when they might be having a bad day. They might come at you a way that makes you feel less than great. They might have an attitude with you. They might be, going through something. You have to be long suffering. You have to put your feelings aside and figure out what you can do to help your brother bear their burdens, right? You have to be kind. That's being kind. Charity envieth not. So you shouldn't be out here envying your brothers and sisters, what they have, what they're doing, right? It vaunteth not itself. and it's not puffed up, right? So you don't put yourself ahead of anyone else or build yourself up to be over anyone else. That's not charity. That's not being a servant to your brothers and sisters, right? Let's grab for me Galatians 6:1. We can get some more attributes of charity, because, as we saw, if you don't have charity, you're nothing. You're just making a whole lot of noise, right? Go ahead and read that when you have it.
Brethren, this is the book of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 1. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness. Consider thyself, lest thou also be tempted.
So it says, brethren, if a man be overtaken in fault, right? So if your brother or sister has offended you, and you, which are supposed to be in the spirit, right? Correct your brother or sister in meekness. Be long-suffering. Be charitable. Be courteous. Be respectful. Sacrifice. Be gracious. Consider yourself. How would you want someone to deal with you if you offend someone? If you're in your feelings and you feel in some kind of way that day, and you cross that line, how would you want someone to deal with you? Read. I'm sorry. First Peter 1, and we're gonna read verse 22. So this is charity. This is how we are going to strengthen our union, strengthen our bonds. This is what it is to be on one accord, right? To be able to dwell and twain with one another, to have that greatest love. First Peter 1 and 22.
This is the book of 1 Peter, chapter 1, verse 22. See ye have prevailed, see ye have purified your souls in obeying the truth. Through the Spirit unto you unfringed love of their brethren. See that ye love one another with a pure heart and favorability.
Seeing ye have purified your souls, right, in obeying the truth. Seeing that you've put in the work, that you've built yourself up through obeying this truth in the Spirit unto unfeigned love, or gentle and sincere love for your brethren, for your brothers and sisters. See that ye love one another with a pure heart, fervently, diligently, everlastingly. Go back to 1 Corinthians 13. We're going to start at 5. We need to build ourselves up to the point where we love one another with enthusiasm and passion. Not that fake shalom and keep it moving love. That's not it. That's not going to get us to where we need to be. We need to be able to we need to dwell with one another. We need to dwell amongst one another. You know, there's nothing in the world out there for us. You know, you should want to be with your brothers and sisters. You should want to be around your brothers and sisters as often as possible. It should be a pleasure. It should be a joy. You know, we got to really work on these relationships till we get to that point. When you have it, read it. Go ahead.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 13, verse 5. Doeth not behave itself unseemly, seek not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil.
Seeking not her own, right? And is not easily provoked. Is long suffering. Thinketh no evil. Read.
Rejoice not in iniquity, but rejoice in the truth.
Read.
Bearing all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things.
Endureth all things. Drop down to verse 13. This is what love means. That we know how to deal with one another. That we know how to forgive one another. That we know how to respect one another. That we know how to communicate effectively and efficiently with one another. That we are really trying to understand one another. Read 13 when you have it.
And now, obeyeth faith, hope, charity, these three. But one of the greatest of these is charity.
Faith, hope, and charity. But the greatest of these is charity, right? Charity is the linchpin to building this nation. If we can't rely on one another, if we can't trust one another, if we can't count on and depend on one another, how are we going to be able to build with one another? We must be able to coexist with one another peacefully and be righteous judges to one another, to hold one another accountable and be humble enough to take correction from our brothers and our sisters. Grab John 13 and 33. We should be reminding ourselves daily, hourly, that our purpose here is to build ourselves up, build our brethren up, to get out of this captivity, to get this kingdom. And we should be reminding ourselves what that looks like. You know, you should be making every effort possible to be around your brothers and sisters, to get to know them, to build bonds and fortify relationships, right? If these are the people that are in the truth, like you're in the truth, hopefully you're in the truth. Hopefully you're diligently doing, keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments. Why would you not want to be around other people who are striving to do the same thing that you're trying to do? Why would you not want to be around people who are also trying to fortify relationships, are also trying to build bonds and grow in righteousness together, to be on one accord? Why? What better do you have to do? What else you got to do? Go ahead and read that when you have it.
It's the book of John, chapter 13, verse 33.
This is Christ speaking.
Little children, yet a little while I am with you.
Christ is letting his disciples know that he's not going to be here much longer. Read.
Ye shall seek me. And as I say unto the Jews, whither I go, I cannot come. So now I say to you.
This is, this is the same thing that he told the Jews. He's not going to be around very long, and where he's going, they can't go. Christ is letting his disciples know that, the time for him to be there is very short. It's going to expire soon. Read.
A new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another as I have loved you.
Read.
That ye also love one another.
That you love one another. Read.
By this shall all men know that ye are my disciples, if ye have love unto one another.
If you are loving your brothers and your sisters the way that Christ, that the Most High has prescribed us to love each other, that's going to look different from the way that people in this world treat each other. That's what Christ is telling his disciples. You're going to stand out in righteousness because this world is wicked and is getting worse. You're going to stick out like a sore thumb if you are loving each other properly. He's letting his disciples know that things are going to get serious very quickly. And in order for y'all to endure, y'all are going to have to put in this work. You're going to have to labor and build yourselves up and build your brethren up to that perfect love with charity. Read Luke 22:31. Christ is letting them know that you're not there yet. All the things that I have taught you thus far, remember those things, practice those things, put forth those things, because you're going to need it. Christ knows that his time is near. He knows his purpose. He knows the will of his Father. So he's letting his disciples know in so many terms, it's about to go down, and I'm about to be out. It's going to be on y'all. Y'all are going to be the ones left to build this kingdom. So prepare, get ready, because it's coming. Read that when you have it.
It's the book of Luke, chapter 22, verse 31. And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have you, that he may swift you as wheat.
That he may sift you as wheat. Read.
But I have prayed for thee, that thy faith not fail. And when thou not art converted,
you got it.
Strengthened by brethren.
What Christ is saying to Peter is, you're not there yet. But I pray, I've labored that what I've taught, and I pray that when the time comes, when you are fully converted, when you have reached that perfect love for your brothers and sisters, for your brothers, strengthen thy brethren, build up your brothers, because you're going to need them. This is the same thing that we're supposed to do. This is the same thing that we've got to do. We got to build ourselves up. We got to build each other up so that we can stand righteously against temptation. When we build ourselves up to a place where we are comfortable not being in this world, not being a part of this world, not doing the things that this world does, but standing in righteousness boldly, we have to make sure that we're building our brothers up as well, that we're reaching down and pulling them up to stand next to us, shoulder to shoulder. Read Verse 33.
This is verse 33. And he said unto him, Lord, I am ready to go with thee, both into prison and to death.
Peter thinks he's ready. Read.
And he said, I tell thee, Peter, the cook shall not crow this day.
The cock shall not crow this day. You got it.
Before that thou shalt
Thrice.
Before that shalt thrice deny that thou knowest me.
So Christ is telling Peter, you're not ready yet. You know, I understand that you feel like you're built up. I understand that you feel like you're fortified enough to follow me to prison or to death. But look, you're gonna deny me. When things get rough, when that persecution comes upon you, you're gonna deny me 3 times. Peter wasn't built up for that perfect love yet. Christ was letting him know that, you know, when he gets pressed, he's going to fold under that pressure. You know, he still has his work to do. That's what Christ is telling him. You still have work to do, Peter. We still have work to do. We need to make sure that we fortify ourselves and our brethren so that when that tribulation comes a knocking, we're not going to deny Christ. We're not going to deny the Most High. We're going to stand boldly with our brothers and sisters. Grab for me 1 John 4:17. You'll have brothers that'll tell you now, you know, I'll die for that, Jake. I'll die for y'all. But nobody really knows until you're put into that position, right? You really have to labor and you really have to do this work to get to a point where it's unconscious for you to do the will of the Most High. It's unconscious for you to be charitable to your brothers and sisters. It's a lot of work. It's never ceasing, and it's not easy. Go ahead and read that when you have it.
This is the book of 1 John, chapter 4, verse 17. Herein is our love made perfect, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment.
This is how our love is perfect, that we'll be bold when we're being judged. Read.
Because as he is, so are we in this world.
That crippling fear that causes you to hesitate instead of acting off instinct, we can't have that. We can't have that fear as apostles of Christ. And that thing is different from not being afraid, because if you're not afraid or if you're not fearful, something's wrong with you. You can only truly be brave if you know fear, right? You got to understand that this thing that you're about to do could cost you your life. It could cost you everything. But because of the love of Christ, because of the love of the Most High, because of the love that you have for your brother and your brothers and your sisters, you're going to do it anyways. That's true bravery. Read verse 18.
It's verse 18. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear, because fear hath tormented he He that feareth may not may not he that feareth is not made perfect in love.
Perfect love casts out that fear. What does that look like? I don't have any children, but what I've seen and what I understand, what I've been told is that to a parent, it is ingrained in you, it is embedded in you, it is biologically, it is a biological thing that you would lay down your life in a heartbeat to protect your children. No matter what it is. Unquestionably, without even thinking about it. It's an instinct. It's automatic. That's that perfect love. You know, all praises to the Most High that he had given that to parents, because they are the protectors of the children, right? They are the protectors of our future. But we don't have that same instinct when it comes to one another. You don't have that same instinct when it comes to your wife. You don't have that same instinct when it comes to your brethren, your sisters. That's something that you have to build up. That's something that you have to work on diligently. You have to work to be charitable. You have to work to be patient and long-suffering. You have to work to get to a point where you're willing to act in a way that benefits your brothers and sisters and that goes against what you want automatically. Let's go to hold that and go to 2 Timothy 1:7. That's the kind of perfect love that casts away fear. Parents, there's no fear when it comes to protecting their children. They'll run through walls to protect their children. Jump in front of cars. Risk their lives over and over again to ensure the safety of their children. That's the pure love that we should have, that we have to build ourselves up to have for one another. Read that when you have it.
This is the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 1, verse 7. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind.
And go to Luke 22 and verse 42. God hasn't given us the spirit of fear, but power and love and a sound mind. That perfect love casts out fear. You're going to take a bullet to protect those you love without even thinking. When your brother or sister is going through a hardship, you're going to be there to support them without even thinking. It's automatic. You need a bed to lay in, couch to sleep on, you need a ride. Whatever I can do to help you out, to get you back on your feet, I got you. Don't even worry about it. Don't even trip. That's that perfect love. That's that charity. That's what we all need to have for one another in order to get where our rightful place. Go ahead and read that when you got it.
It's the book of Luke, chapter 22 and verse 24. And there were also strife men among them. Which of them should be accounted the greatest? And he said unto them,
I'm sorry, Salakia. Luke 22 and 42. That's my bad.
Salakia, it's the book of Luke, chapter 22 and verse 42. Saying, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me.
This is Christ speaking to the Most High. Go ahead.
Nevertheless, I will not, Salakia, nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done.
Christ was fearful of death. Don't get it twisted. Don't be mistaken, right? He didn't, he feared, he knew what it was that he was supposed to do, but that doesn't mean he wasn't fearful. But he loved us with that perfect love. He knew what his purpose was on this earth, and he was willing and able to press through that fear in order to fulfill his Father's will, right? That's a sound mind. That's that sound mind from that verse we just read, 2 Timothy 1:7. Christ being fearful of crucifixion, but understanding his purpose is not to do his will, but his Father's will. That's what we are striving to achieve. Let's go back to 1 John 4 and read verse 19.
It's the book of John, 1 John chapter 4, verse 19. We love him because he loved us, because first he loved us.
He loved us first. I think that's a fair trade, that we love him because he loved us. Read.
If a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar.
He's a liar. Read.
For he loveth not his own brother, whom he hateth, seeing how can he love God, whom hateth? Salakia. How can he love God, whom he hath not seen?
How can a man say that he loves God and hates his brother? He sees his brother on a daily or weekly basis. He twains with his brother on a daily or weekly basis. He sees his brother physically with his own eyes. We are commanded to love one another. That's what the Most High has said. That's what Christ had said. So how can one say that he loves God and he doesn't love his brother when he hasn't even seen God? It's not possible. Read.
And this commandment we have from him, that he who would love God, love his brother also.
It's a commandment. It is you must do this. You must love your brother with that perfect love. It's not optional. If you want to get the kingdom, that's something that you got to do. And the tool to get there is that charity. Jump up to verse 1.
This is chapter 4, verse 1. Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God. Because of false prophets are Salakia, because many false prophets are gone out into the world.
You have to try the spirit, right? You can't just trust everyone that walks through those doors, because not everyone is about this life. They'll shalom you in your face and hate you in their heart. So you have to try the spirit. It's not to just, love everyone that has their fringes on, but you really have to try the spirit and prove that they are about this life. Prove that they are willing that they are deserving of your trust, of your love, of your charity, right? Read.
Hereby, hereby know ye spirit of God. Every spirit that confesseth that Jesus Christ is become in the flesh is of God.
So there is you're bound to run into people who claim to be about this life and are not. I would highly recommend that you pray and ask for your discernment to be increased, right? So you aren't deceived, but so that you really have the tools necessary, the wisdom and knowledge necessary to identify who's really down for this cause, who's really, doing this because they love Christ, because they love God. Let's go to Acts 5:25. Can't just trust everyone. Not everyone is built up for this thing, right? It's only 1/3 of Israel that's going to make it. 2/3 got to die. So, there are going to be false prophets. There are going to be false teachers. There are going to be, people who claim to be about this and are not. So make sure you try the Spirit. Make sure you prove your brethren. And once you've diligently proven them, and you know them to be godly men and godly women who are down for this cause, you got to be charitable. You got to work to build them up like you work to build yourself up. Go ahead and read when you have that.
It's the book of Acts, chapter 5, chapter 5, verse 25. Then came one and told them, saying, Behold, the men who put ye in prison are standing in the temple and teaching the people.
Read.
Then went the captain with the officers and brought them without violence, for they feared for the people, lest they should have been stoned.
This is Peter and the other apostles. They were put in prison for teaching, right? And now they're teaching the people in prison, and the officers went and grabbed them, but were gentle, right? They didn't use violence because they feared that the people that were being taught would stone them, right? Read.
And when they had brought them, they set them before the council, and the high priest asked them, saying, Did we not sternly saying, did not we sternly command you that ye should not teach in this name?
Did we not straightly command you not to teach what Christ has taught? Read.
Behold, ye have filled Jerusalem with your doctrine, and intended to bring this man's blood upon us.
Read.
Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, We ought to obey God rather than man.
We ought to obey God rather than men. Read.
The God of our fathers raised up Jesus, whom ye slew and hanged on a tree. Him saying that God exalted him hath God exalted with him. Him hath God exalted with his right hand to be a prince and a savior, for to give repentance unto Israel and forgiveness of sins.
Read.
And we are his witnesses of these things. And so is also the Holy Ghost, whom God hath given unto them that obey him.
So they obey God. They obey Christ. And they're teaching his word to the people. Read.
When they heard that, they were cut to the heart and took counsel to slay them.
They didn't want to hear that. They didn't want to hear that God's exalted Son, the Prince and the Savior, who came and gave his life so that Israel had an opportunity to repent and be forgiven for their sins. They hung. They didn't want to hear the gospel of Christ because they didn't want to follow him. They wanted to do what they wanted to do, right? Drop down to verse 40. They wanted to slay these men and stop them from teaching this gospel, right? Read when you have it.
Verse 40. And into him they agreed. And with they had called him the apostle, and beaten them, they commanded they should not speak in the name of Jesus and let them go.
After they had beaten him, they told him again that you should not be teaching Christ's words, and they let him go. Read.
And they departed, and they departed from the presence of the council, rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer shame for his name.
They rejoiced that they were counted worthy to suffer for his name. Read.
And daily in the temple, and in every house, they ceased not to teach and preach Jesus Christ.
They rejoice with one another for having the opportunity to be counted to suffer affliction for the love of the Most High. That's that perfect love. Imagine going through being beaten for teaching the word of God, right? Imagine, being out on the corners, on the highways and byways, and you're out street teaching with your brothers, and you get snatched up, thrown in jail, beaten, right? Persecuted. And you and your brothers are so built up that you hold each other down, that you endure, that you trust and know that they have your back like you have their back, that they're not going to turn and run at the first opportunity, but they're going to stand with you in boldness and in righteousness and endure anything that comes at them, even if it be death, with you together as one, in one accord. That's a powerful thing. We have to be charitable with one another to get to this point, to get to this perfect love. That's why charity is the most important thing, right? We have to want to be around each other. We have to want to build with each other. Why you're not coming to New Moon? Why you're not coming to the feast? You got something better to do? You have somewhere else better to be? Who are you hanging out with? Why are you not with your congregation? Why are you not with your people? Why are you not jumping at every opportunity to be with your people? That's what these feasts are for. That's what these new moons are for. You shouldn't be passing up the opportunity to fellowship and build bonds with one another. That's what this is for. That is the purpose. That is why God has commanded these things, that we celebrate these things, that we come together and feast together and build each other up and strengthen our bonds and fortify our relationships so that we can have charity for one another, so that we can trust one another. There's no reason why, like, you don't have to work. It's the Sabbath. So why aren't you here?
Con.
Grab Acts 16 and 19, unless you got something.
No, I don't. Give me a second. It's the book of Acts, chapter 16, verse 19. And when her master saw that the hope of their gains was gone, they caught Paul and Silas and drew them from the marketplace unto the rulers.
Read.
And brought them unto the magistrates, saying, these men being Jews do exceedingly trouble in our city, and teach customs which are not lawful for us to receive, Salakia. Start from the top. And they teach customs which are not lawful for us to receive, neither to observe, being Romans.
These aren't Israelites. This is Roman leadership, right? And you have Paul and Silas teaching our people who are being ruled by the Romans, by these other nations, and they're being persecuted for it, right? They're being brought to the leaders, and they're facing judgment. Go ahead.
And the multitude rose up together against them, and the magistrates rended off their clothes.
Ripped off their clothes. Read.
And commanded to beat them. And when they had laid stripes upon them, they cast them into prison, charging the jailer to keep them safely.
So Paul and Silas were judged. Their clothes were rent off so that they're naked. They're being beaten. And then they were cast into prison. Read.
Who have received such a charge, thrust into the inner prison, and make their feet as fast as the stocks.
Shackled their feet. Read.
And at midnight, Paul and Silas prayed and sang praises unto God, and the prisoners heard them.
Paul and Silas had no fear because they had built themselves up and each other up. They were charitable with one another. They loved the Most High. They loved Christ, and they loved one another with that perfect love. So even though they were locked up in prison, having been beat naked and bound, they sang praises unto the Most High. Read.
And suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prisons were shaken, and immediately the doors were opened.
That's because of the faith that they have. Read.
And everyone's bands were loosened. And the keeper of the prison awakened out of his sleep. Seeing the doors of the prison open, he drew his sword and would have killed himself, supposedly that the prisoners had been fleed.
He was in charge of ensuring that these prisoners didn't escape, right? And so if they had escaped, that would have been his life. So he was ready to take his life because he thought that they had fled. Read.
But Paul cried with a loud voice, saying, "Do not harm thyself, for we are all here."
Because of the work that they'd done, because of the charity that they had shown to one another, the bond that they had built, Paul and Silas weren't fearful. They trusted in each other and in the Most High. When the shackles were broken, when the doors were opened, they didn't turn and run. They still had work to do. They told the jailer, "We're still here. We got work to do. We're not going anywhere. You don't have to worry. You don't have to harm yourself. You know, we're not in fear." Right? That's that perfect love. Grab Luke 22 and verse 24. That's doing the will of the Most High. That is having faith and trust in the Most High. That comes through laboring. That comes through studying. That comes through enduring with one another. You have to work at it. It's not something that comes second nature. You have to really want this thing, man. Read that when you have it.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 22, verse 24. And there was also a strife among them, which of them should be accounted the greatest. And he said unto them, the kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and that they exercise authority upon them. They call themselves benefactors.
So the men were striving amongst another, wanting, arguing among one another who is the greatest, right? And Christ said unto them, this is how these other nations rule. They lord themselves over their people. They exercise authority. They build themselves up to be better than those that are under them. Read.
But ye shall not be so.
But y'all should be different. Read.
But that the greatest among you, let him be the younger, and he that is chief, as he that hath served, doeth served.
He that is greatest among thee, right? This is what Christ is telling them. The one who is the greatest among you is the one who holds himself to the least. The one that is the chief is the one who is the most who exercises the most servitude, right? Humble yourself. The one who humbles themselves the most, that is the one who is the chief. The one who is most charitable, that is the one who is the greatest. Read.
For whether greater he that sitteth at meat, or he that serveth, is not he that sitteth at meat, but I am among you, as he is that serveth.
Christ is clear with who is greater. Read that again from the top, 27.
For who is greater, he that sitteth at meat, or he that serveth?
So who is greater? Christ is saying the one who's sitting at the table waiting to be served, or the one that is doing the serving, right? Read.
Is not he that sitteth at meat, but I am among you.
And he's saying, aren't you arguing to be the ones to sit at that table to be served? But look at me. I am your servant. I am serving you, right? Read.
But I am among you as he that served.
Christ
serveth.
Christ is clearly greater than them, yet he was the most charitable to them. He labored for their benefit as we are to labor for our brothers and sisters. He served them and went on to die for all of us, right? That's the perfect love that Christ had for us. Read.
Ye are they which have continued with me in my temptations.
Read.
And I appoint unto you a kingdom, as my Father appointed unto me, that ye may eat and drink at my table in my kingdom, and sit on thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
If y'all do what I have commanded you today, what I have taught you, what I have shown you, then you'll have an opportunity to sit at the head of the kingdom and be judges over the rest of our people, right? When that time comes. Go ahead and grab 2 Corinthians 6. And we're going to start at verse 1 when you have it. Christ was letting them know, all this bickering and fighting over who is the best, who is the greatest, that's not profitable. The greatest is the one who is the greatest servant. The greatest is the one who is willing to be the most charitable. That's why charity is the most important thing in order for us to get this kingdom. It's not about who's the best teacher or leader or who has the best breakdowns, who has the best knowledge, who can put the best lessons together. If you don't have charity, then all that other stuff is just noise. It's unprofitable. Read when you got it.
It's the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 6, verse 1. We then as workers together with him beseech you also that ye receive not the grace of God in vain.
As workers together with him, read.
Beseech you also that ye receive not the grace of God in vain.
Read.
For he sinneth, Salakia, for he saith, I have heard thee in the time accepted, and in the day of salvation I shall succor thee. Behold, now is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation.
Read.
Give no offense in anything, that the ministry be not blamed.
Be blameless so that people can't look at you as a representative of Christ, as a representative of the Most High, and find blame in you. Read.
But in all things approving ourselves as the ministry of God, in much patience.
Much patience. Read.
In afflictions.
In afflictions.
You
got it.
In afflictions, in necessities, and in duress. Sorry, I'm going to start from the beginning.
You got it.
But in all things, approving ourselves in the ministry of God, in much patience, in afflictions, in necessities and the rest,
Read.
in stripes, in prison, in,
Tumults.
in tumults, in labors, in watching and fasting, in watchings and fasting, by pureness, by knowledge, by long suffering, by kindness, by the Holy Ghost, by love, unfringed,
Unfeigned.
Salakia.
Read.
But by the word of the truth, by the power of God, by the armor of righteousness on the right hand and on the left.
So it says, give no offense in anything, that the ministry not be blamed, right? In all things, prove yourself to be representatives, to be the most righteous representatives of the Most High. The way that you do that is being patient in afflictions, in necessities, and in distress, in stripes, in imprisonments, in tumults, in labors, in watchings, in fastings. Do all these things with grace. Be glad to go through these things, to be afflicted by these things for the Most High. In pureness, in knowledge, in long suffering, be kind. Be a representative of the Holy Spirit and exhibit that pure love and exhibit that greatest love. Read. Where are we?
8.
Verse 8, you got it.
Verse 8, by honor and dishonor.
So if you are being called honor, if you are being represented as being with honor or with dishonor, read.
By evil report and good report, as deceivers and yet true.
If a report against you is evil or it's good, if you're being called a liar and you know that you speak this truth, continue to do the Most High's will. Read.
As unknown and yet well known, as dying and behold, we live as we chastised and not killed.
Read.
As sorrowful, yet always rejoicing, as poor, yet making many rich, as not having, yet possessing all things.
These are the attributes, right? These are this is how we are supposed to live our lives, right? In sorrow, we should always be rejoicing. In times when we are poor, we are to remember that we are rich because we are chasing that opportunity to be leaders of this world, to take our place in the kingdom, to get everlasting life. There's nothing richer than that. There's nothing greater than that, right? Even if you don't have anything, you know that you possess all things because you possess this knowledge of the truth. Read verse 1 again.
We then as workers together with him.
As workers together, these are things that we have to do together. We can't do this alone. Grab Tobit 12, and we're gonna read verse 8. in order to get to our rightful place, the place that the Most High has given us an opportunity to receive, right? The kingdom. We have to understand that we can't do this alone. We have to put in the work for ourselves, and we have to put in the work for one another. You know, we have to be charitable. We have to build each other up in righteousness. You know, we have to strengthen our bonds. We have to trust and rely on each other to get this kingdom. That's the only way. Read that in Tobit when you have it.
It's the book of Tobit in our Apocrypha, chapter 12, verse 8. Prayer is good with fasting and alms and righteousness. A little with righteousness is better than much with unrighteousness. It is better to give alms than to lay up gold.
So it's talking about alms now, right? Alms are a part of charity, right? Alms is actually talking about actually giving your money to the congregation, to the structure that is there to lead the people, right? It's important that you give your alms, right? Grab Sirach 11 and 14. We're going to read 14 and 15. It says, a prayer is good with fasting and alms and righteousness, right? Not only is it good to pray, but you must also fast. You must also give your alms, and you must also be righteous. It's better to give alms than to lay up gold. Read that when you have it.
It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 11, verse 14. Prophesy and
Prosperity.
Prosperity and adversity, life and death, poverty and riches come of the Lord.
These are the things that the Most High control. He's in control of everything, right? He has the power to give you prosperity, and he has the power to put you through adversity. He has the power to create life and has the power to take life. He can make you a rich man. He can make you a poor man. You know, this is the power that Christ has. Read.
Wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the law are of the Lord.
This is the only way that you can get this wisdom, this knowledge, and this understanding of the law is by doing what the Lord has commanded us to do. Read.
Love and the way of good workers are for him.
Are from him.
From him.
Yeah, absolutely. Love and the way of good works are from him. Grab Luke 12 and 29. That alms is charity. That alms is it is the tool needed to help build the structure that we can go to help build ourselves up, to help build up our brothers and sisters. It's the structure. It's the church. It's the foundation. You know, it's a place that we go to get this word out, to be able to teach. It's a platform that we have, and it's important that, you know, we support this thing financially, right? That's why alms is important. Read that in Luke when you have it.
It's the book of Luke, chapter 12, verse 29. And seek ye not what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, neither be ye of doubtful mind.
Don't be concerned, you know, don't be so worrying about, you know, what you're going to eat next or what you're going to drink next. That shouldn't be your first concern, right? You know, don't fill your mind with doubt. Read.
For all these things do the nations of the world seek after.
These are the things that the world concerns itself with, right? But we are supposed to be separate. We are holy, so we're supposed to be apart from the world. We're supposed to be separate from the world. Read.
And your Father knoweth that ye need of these things.
Of course, the Most High knows what we need. right? Read.
but rather seek ye the kingdom of God.
So this is the thing that should be our primary concern, right? Not what we're going to eat next or drink, but our mind should be consumed with seeking the kingdom, right? With doing what the Most High has commanded us to do, right? Read.
And all these things shall be added unto you.
This is Christ speaking, and he's telling you, if you put the kingdom first and foremost in everything that you do, then all your needs are going to be taken care of, because the Most High knows what your needs are. Read.
Fear not, little flock. Fear not, little flock, for your father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom.
So we're not supposed to fear, right? Because if we are diligently and righteously seeking the kingdom, it's the Most High. It would be the Most High's pleasure to give that to us. Read.
Sell that ye have, and give alms. Provide yourself bags which wax not old, a treasure in the heavens is not faileth not. So, where no thief approacheth, neither mouth corrupteth.
So don't concern yourself with worldly things, with worldly treasures, but instead of pursuing those things, use that money to give your alms, right? Because your alms serve a greater purpose, right? Those earthly possessions are not going to get you into the kingdom. What you want is the treasures in heaven, right? And the tool that you have to help you get there is your alms, is your monies, right? As long as you're diligent, that's something that a thief can't take away, and that's something that a moth it's not going to break down. It's not going to be destroyed, right? Read.
For where your treasures is, where your heart will also be.
If wherever your desire is, wherever you're putting your efforts, that's where your heart is going to be also, right? So you want to make sure that your efforts are towards getting this kingdom. Let's go to Haggai 1 and 3.
This is the book of Haggai, chapter 1, verse 3. Then came the word of the Lord by Haggai the prophet, saying, It is time for you, O ye, to dwell in your
Sealed houses.
Sorry, start from the top.
You're good.
It is time for you, O ye, dwell in your seated houses, sealed houses in this house. Now for thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider your ways.
So what's being said here is it right or just for you to dwell in your house, to build up your house, to make sure that your house is in tip-top shape, that you live in, and yet you forsake the sanctuary, that you forsake your congregation, the house of your congregation, the house of your people? Do you think it's okay? Do you think the Most High is pleased if your efforts are being spent, building up your house that you dwell in, while your congregation, your church, the structure that you worship in is crumbling, it's decaying, it needs work, and it's not being tended to? Read.
Verse 6.
5.
Now for thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider your ways.
Consider the way that you're going about things. Read.
Ye have sown much that bring little.
You have gathered much wealth, right? And yet you only bring a little bit to alms. Read.
But ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe, but there is none warm. And that earneth wages to put up in a bag with holes.
You do all these things in vain, because these things that you're pursuing are not going to get you into the kingdom. Let's grab Baruch 4 and verse 28. It says, "You have sown much and bring in little." Right? You've done a lot of work to earn a lot of wages, but you're only giving a little bit back to building up your nation. Right? You have enough to eat. You're able to feed your belly, but you're not feeding your soul. You're able to drink till you're full, and yet your cup of righteousness is empty. You have enough to clothe yourself, but you're not covered in the warmth of the Most High. You take the wages that you earn and you put them in places that are unprofitable to you. That's what those bags with holes in it are. You're spending your wages on places that are not going to get you to the kingdom. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you're building up your temple. You want to make sure that you're building up your congregation and building up your people in righteousness. You want to make sure, pay your alms so this work can continue. Pay your alms so this structure, this foundation doesn't crumble. Read.
This is the book of Baruch, chapter 4, verse 28. For as it was your mind to go astray from God, so being returned, seek him 10 times more. We
had all gone astray from God, right? Most of us weren't born in this truth. We didn't have this understanding, right? We were astray from God, but God chose each and every one of us to show us this truth, right? If you were in that Christian church, you were giving your tithes diligently. You were giving your 10%. Now that you're in this truth, you need to seek him 10 times more. You need to be 10 times more down for this truth than you were in the world. Give your alms. You tithe diligently in the Christian church. Give your alms with diligency and in joyfulness. Grab 2 Corinthians 9 and 6. Give what you can give, because that's part of your works. That's part of your charity. That's part of what's going to get you into this kingdom. That's part of building up your brothers and your sisters in righteousness. That's part of what you can do to get this kingdom. Read that when you have it.
Just the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 9, verse 6. But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap bountifully. Every man according as he prospereth in his heart, So let him give, not grudgingly or necessarily for the love of the God is a salakia. For God love a cheerful giver.
So it's we're gonna grab Sirach 12 and 1 next. It says, "He which soweth sparingly," right? So if you're being sparing with your alms, the Most High is going to be sparing in giving you what it is that you want and need, right? But if you are giving bountifully, the Most High is going to bless you bountifully, right? It says, every man according as he proposeth in his heart, also so let him give, right? So if your heart is truly trying to get this kingdom in righteousness, then you're not going to give begrudgingly or out of necessity, right? Because it's something that you have to do. But you're going to give cheerfully. And the Most High loveth a cheerful giver. Read that in Sirach when you have it.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 12, verse 1. When thou do good, Salakia. When thou wilt do good, know to who thou does it. So shall be that thou thankful, Salakia. So shall thou be thanked for his benefits, for thy benefits.
Read.
Do good, the godly man thou shalt find recompense, and if not for him, yet for the Most High.
So it says, do good to the godly man, right? Do good to the man who you know to be keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments, to the man who keeps himself in righteousness, who is pursuing the kingdom, right? Do good to him, and you shall be rewarded, right? If it not from him, the Most High is going to bless you. Read that in verse 3.
There can be no good come to him. There can be no good come to him that is always occupied in evil, nor him that giveth no alms.
So the comparison here is that if you're not giving your alms, you might as well be occupied in evil. That's how serious it is. That's how important it is to give your alms. That's how important it is to be charitable. Read.
God to the godly man, and helpeth not the sinner.
So make sure that you're putting your money to a place in righteousness. Read.
Do well unto him that is lowly, but give not unto the ungodly. Hold back thy bread, and give not unto them, and not unto him, lest our master be thereby. Right. For else thou shalt receive it twice as much evil for all the good thou shalt have done unto him.
So it says, make sure that you're dealing well, that you're being charitable to the lowly, right? Lowly being one who is doing this pursuit for righteousness, and make sure that you're not giving to the ungodly. You know, don't be charitable to one that is evil, because you're not going to get good for giving to evil. You're going to get evil, right? So make sure that you're dealing in righteousness. I'll read that verse 6.
For the Most High hateth sinners,
He hateth sinners, read,
and will repay vengeance unto them, and to the ungodly,
and will repay vengeance unto the ungodly, right? Read.
and keep them against the mighty day of their punishment.
Read.
Give unto the good, help not the sinner.
Grab for me, let's see. Let's skip down. Grab Proverbs 10:3. So help not a sinner, right? Because the Most High hateth sinners. And no good will come from that. No good from you will come from that, right? So make sure that you're putting your money, you're putting your alms in righteousness. Make sure that you're dealing with wisdom and with truth. Read that when you have it.
You said 10:3, correct?
10:3. Yep.
Okay. It's the book of Proverbs 10:3, chapter 10, verse 3. The Lord will not suffer the soul of the righteous to famish.
So as long as you're being righteous, as long as you're doing what the Most High had commanded you to do, you're not going to famish. The Most High is going to take care of you. Read.
But he cast away the wicked. I'm sorry, Salakia. But he cast away the substance of the wicked.
Read.
He become poor that dwelleth with a slack hand, but a hand of diligence maketh rich.
Grab for me Ecclesiastes 10:18. So if you're wondering why you're in the conditions that you're in, the unpleasant condition that you're in, you got to ask yourself, am I doing right by the Most High? Am I being diligent? Am I giving my all to the Most High? Am I being charitable and striving for that perfect love with one another? Because the Most High has no problem making one poor who is dealing with a slack hand, who is not giving their all. But if you're being diligent in this truth, it's easy for the Most High to make you rich. So if you're going through things, you need to examine your spirit. You need to take a step back and really look at yourself and ask yourself, are you going as hard as you could be? Are you being as charitable as you could be? Are you giving your alms? Are you doing what you can to help build up your nation and build up your people and fortify the relationships with your congregants, with the people that you know to be in this truth, to be diligent in this truth? You got to examine yourself. Read that when you have it.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 10, verse 18. By much slothfulness in the building decayeth. I'm sorry, by much slothfulness the building decayeth, and the thought of idleness of the idleness of the hands is the house droppeth through.
So if you're being slothful, your congregation, that building is going to decay. If you're not being diligent and you're not working and laboring, the house is gonna cave in on itself. That congregation is gonna cave in on itself. That spirit is going to dwindle until it is no longer existent, and the people are gonna suffer, right? So you got to make sure that you're being diligent. Read verse 19.
Verse 19. A feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh merry, but money answereth all things.
We can't feast if people aren't paying their alms. We can't enjoy each other's company build up strong relationships and strong foundations and provide opportunities to be charitable with one another if no one is giving to the congregation.
Con.
Pay your alms.
We can't feast at all. We get rebuked when we feast.
That's another thing altogether. Let's go to Sirach 17 and 22. Money answereth all things, right? So yes, the money is the root of all evil if your pursuits are evil, right? But if you are working laboringly diligently and you are paying your alms and you're using your monies to benefit your congregation, to help build your people up, you will be rewarded. It says, money answereth all things. It's a tool that we are to use to help build our kingdom up, help build our people up, right? So pay your alms. Read that when you got it.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 17, verse 22.
We're almost done.
The alms of a man is a stagnant with him.
Signet with him.
Signet, Salakia. But the alms of a man as a signet with him, and he will keep the good deeds of man, of the apple of the eye, and give repentance to his sons and daughters.
We're going to grab Tobit 4 and 7. So this is saying alms, a man who pays his alms, it's a sign unto him. It's an indication of his faith and his works, right? It's this man is, because he's being faithful, he is going to give an opportunity to his offspring, to his sons and daughters, for repentance. He's also going to do the same thing with his congregants, with his brothers and sisters, right? Because he's being faithful, because he's given his alms, because he's being diligent with his faith and works, he's going to be a benefit to his children, to his family, to his congregation. So, this is an example of what we should strive for. Read that in Tobit when you got it.
This is the book of Tobit, verse 12. I'm sorry, chapter 12, verse 7.
No, it's 4 and 7.
Salakia. That's my bad.
You got it.
Salakia. This is the book of Tobit, chapter 4, verse 7. Give alms of thy substance, and when thou givest alms, let not thine eye be envious, neither turn thy face from any poor, and the face of God shall not be turned away from thee.
So give what you can when you can, right? And when you're giving alms, do it cheerfully. Don't think about, the things in this world that you could be using that money to buy that are going to be unprofitable to your spirit. Don't be envious. And if you do those things, the Most High is not going to forsake thee. He's gonna be with you. He's gonna bless you. Read.
Chapter verse 8, right?
Verse 8.
If thou hath abundance, give alms accordingly.
So if you have a lot, give a lot. Read.
If thou have but a little, be not afraid to give. Be not afraid to give according to that little.
So if you've got a lot, give a lot. If you have a little, make sure that you're still giving, right? because the Most High is going to bless you if you're being diligent and you're being charitable, right? Don't have fear that you are going to go without. The Most High is going to provide for you. He says that he will. Read.
For thou layest up a good treasure for thyself against the day of necessity.
So when the time comes that you're in need, alms, which is good deeds, which is charity, what you're doing is you're building up good deeds so that when the time comes when you need something, you'll be favored with the Most High. Read.
Because that alms do deliver from death, and suffereth not unto the darkness. I'm sorry, Salakia. And suffer not to come into darkness.
So when you're given alms, you're building up that nest egg of good deeds, which will deliver you from death and destruction, right? Which will deliver you from unpleasantries. Read.
For alms is a good gift unto all that give, in the sight of the Most High.
Alms is a good gift unto all that give it in the eyes of the Most High. So the Most High loves when you are giving your alms cheerfully, charitably. It's a pleasure. It's pleasing to the Most High. So let's make sure that we're paying our alms, we're giving our alms. Let's make sure that we're being charitable with our brethren, because that is the greatest love, is that charity. Is that charity that we need with one another in order to build up each other and build up this kingdom. We have to labor, we have to sacrifice for the betterment of our brothers and sisters. We have to build ourselves up to a unity so that we can get out of this captivity. That's the only way. If you don't have anything else, we'll wrap it up there.
I'm good.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. Like and share the class. We appreciate you. Be blessed. Shalom.
Shalom.
It's mixed on the